You'll find like scents really can bring you back to
Absolutely.
a place, a time in your life.
Misty and I went to high school together, and it was like me moving to a completely different location. So I don't want to say traumatic, but I mean, it was life-changing, right? I will be in a building and I'm like, this smells like the first day at East Bay High School.
Like walking in.
But it's not nostalgia. It's like, this is terrible.
Yeah, you just start breaking out in hives. Like, oh no.
Yeah, start sweating. Welcome to Money Market at Bank of Tampa podcast. We highlight the businesses, expert business advice, the local economy, and points of interest in the Tampa Bay market. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend or colleague. I am your host, Owen LaFave, the Pinellas County Market President for the Bank of Tampa, Tampa Bay's oldest and largest community bank. The origin story of today's guests reads like a discovery of a scent. Dennis and Misty Akers, two corporate refugees, and the dynamic duo behind the Candle Pour, the pour your own candle bar that turns scent into an immersive experience. So for this episode, grab your favorite scent, maybe a little teakwood, dash of grapefruit, some tobacco, some mint, and settle in for this episode. So Dennis and Misty, welcome to Money Market.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this one. What in the world were you thinking? Like, why candles? Why Tampa? Like, how did this come to be that you're like, this is what we're going to do? And I'd love to hear the story.
I think there was just a need for something like this. Like everything was so tech and, you have shopping, but you can do that online. And this was just something we felt like it would bring people together in a world where everybody's, on their phones and they're doing things remotely. So we just felt like having something like an experience where it was interactive was important. And then the big thing is candles are a timeless product. Mm-hmm. So we felt like we weren't going to, ever like run out of time with people wanting it. Like they've been using them forever, essentially. And most importantly, they use them and then they come back.
And they have to come back,
Yes.
Right?
There's only so many paintings with a twist that I could do before we started throwing away all the dogs and stuff I was painting. So, the idea of creating an experience, bringing people together, and also having a product that you can come back once you use it wasn't the worst idea in the world, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, I think it's brilliant. And then outside of, because it's Amazon proof, right? It is that immersive experience.
That was a big one too.
Together.
Of like the big box, can't necessarily overtake what we do because every candle that walks out is completely different.
That's unique. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
where,
cool.
Did this business model exist in other markets, or is this kind of a brainchild?
Similar. One of my friends was telling me about a business that she had learned about and went to a few times, and I loved it. We went out and visited, and I was like, we can do that. Like, I don't want to say we can do it better, but different. And I think, we know the Tampa market and what it needs. So we felt like there's something here that we can do. And we just kind of took out the arts and crafts side and made it more of a higher end experience, a special date night, special occasions, team buildings, things like that to bring people together, but make it feel like, it's not just like an art class or something. So, and mainly like we didn't want to, with men, I think they're picky about some of the things, like they'll do a cooking class or something like that every once in a while, but this doesn't make them feel like they're, biting the bullet to go and put on an apron and go
Dennis,
stir candles and wax. So, it's more about the experience. And a lot of the reservations are initiated by men, which is nice.
I don't want to go paint a picture. I don't want to do pottery.
Right.
We'll do it once.
I've done both once.
Yeah.
And I've not been back.
Right.
But I do a candle. And especially if I get to choose my own scent, that it doesn't have to be like, I hate the fruitiness. Mm-hmm. And if I can just like hone in on like what my scent is, I'm in.
Well, there's that end of the coin, but there's the other end. Let's say you come, you do it, you make something for yourself. Then you can come make something for somebody else. Right. So now, not only can you make your own fragrance, but like you have a mom that has a birthday or anyone, literally you can come create something for them. It's personal to them. It's a one of one. And you can write a little note on the bottom and stuff. So it makes a good gift too, not just for yourself.
Scent is tricky. Mm-hmm. And I had a full appreciation when I was out trying to pick a perfume for my wife. And so myself and my youngest son, I guess just genetics, like we are locked. My oldest son, completely different palate. So I was done. Like we've tried 15 different, we can't agree. And finally the assistant came over and she's like, what's going on? And so I kind of explained, I'm like, you know what, I feel like we agree a lot, not on everything. And she's like, like floral, like specific notes, like what do you like? And then she sprayed 2 and she's like, you're going to love this. And both me and my youngest son were like, yeah, that's amazing. She's like, you're going to hate it. He's like, yes, you're going to love this one. And it was the floral. Like he loved floral. So it's such just a unique and personal thing.
It's also an external part of a brand. I mean, we walked into your lobby, it smelled like something. I can tell you that. There's definitely a scent in there. So people who run businesses and own buildings like to scent their certain businesses and buildings to stand out. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the Addition in downtown here. Yep. You will smell like the Addition when you leave. Like, it is a very distinct scent. So it's this like extra element to a brand that a lot of people don't think about. So yes, we do a customer experience, but we also help other brands like scent their own businesses.
I only came across this recently and then researched it. But to your point with the Edison, we were in a hotel and I walked in. I'm like, this smells amazing. And I stood in the lobby long enough to take it all in. And I looked up and I saw one of the diffusers. So we now have a couple of those in the house.
Yeah,
so.
we do. I have some bath wash and candle. But yeah, it's good. And then our kids, we went to New York and that's where we stayed. And they smell it and they're like, it's New York. So you'll find like scents really can bring you back to
absolutely
a place, a time in your life. Like, so that's kind of neat. Like for me, growing up on a farm, tomato leaf, earth, those things, it's like being on the farm with my dad. So like it's nostalgia. It's really cool. So
do you have people come in and share specific things like that? Like, hey, I want to relive like this experience and try to.
And that's not something I don't think we thought about that when we started it, but we had a family that came in and like kind of a sad story, but the mother, it was the last thing they all did together. And she passed away and the girl called. I'm like on the phone, I'm crying, but she was like, I want to create like Mom's scent. And that's what she gave on the anniversary of like to her whole family. And she said it was like, just, it was that one thing that they had that they all did together before. And it was really neat. So we have a lot of stories like that.
Yeah. I want to like that, but semi-funny. The gentleman smelled magnolia. I was, he's wafting the bottle. He goes, oh, this reminds me of my grandmother. I'm like, that's amazing. What about it? He's like, her funeral smelled just. I'm like, oh my God. Oh no. He's like, no, it's not a bad thing. But
that was like a sharp turn.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, my grandma. I went to her house. Nope, it was her funeral. But beyond funerals, there's a lot of things they can remind you of. A lot of times when I smell certain scents, that can be brought back to a place that's established. She mentioned a tomato farm, but something as simple as the Addition, or something as simple as we have a dusty kind of smell. It's almost like a rain. It's like a sweet, dusty smell. It always reminds me of Florence. For some reason.
Oh, okay.
So you smell it, you get taken back there. It's strange, but it's kind of a unique way of looking at the world too.
I do, and it will happen once every 3 or 4 years in a building. But so Misty and I went to high school together, East Bay High School, and it was like me moving to a completely different location. So I don't want to say traumatic, but I mean it was life changing, right? I will be in a building and I'm like, this smells like the first day at East Bay High School.
Oh, like walking in.
But it's not nostalgia. It's like, this is terrible.
And you just start breaking out in hives. Like, oh no,
start sweating. Yeah. Now, do either one of you have a background in retail that led you to this? You did.
I mean, medical aesthetics, so sales a little bit, like understanding people, the importance of your employees and how important they are in really like facilitating an experience or a sale. So that was where I felt like I learned a ton. We were also like franchise at the time, so I learned the goods, the bads, the uglies of what can happen if you have a great franchisee, and if you don't, like it can go south really quickly. So,
and Dennis, I mean, you do a lot of the marketing, the front of the house. What's your background?
You mentioned retail. We're kind of in that cup, but I don't know if we necessarily fit completely in that cup, because being an experience business, I always like to tell the staff 99.9% of what we do has nothing to do with candles and everything to do with how you treat people.
Experience, right? Yeah.
How you treat them. When you read a review, if let's say it's a good review, hopefully a good review, very rarely do they talk about the candle to the very end. They're typically talking about so-and-so helped me. They were welcoming. The place was clean. Everyone was positive. We had a great time. Oh, and I loved my candle. So majority of what we do really doesn't have to do with that. The only time they really deal with a true candle is when they're coming to pick it up and bring it home. The rest of it is facilitated by the staff.
And so, I mean, tell me about that process. I mean, how did you cultivate that to get to what you've honed in? Is it just, I mean,
It's
a lot of
changed
trial
a
and error?
little. I think our mentality of like what people were coming for originally was like they're coming to make their own candle. But what they're remembering is the person that helped them, the fact that they got like all these decisions. And we have a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm terrible at decisions, but so and so was so helpful with, Lexington did an amazing job with helping me feel like not overwhelmed. And it's really, like he said, is everything is really about the staff and the way that the staff is to the customer makes all the difference in the world. So we really focus. I mean, we have a great product. It's a good candle. Our fragrances are premium, so it is like a high-end candle, but what people really come back for is the team. And it's very important.
Yeah, and I had zero idea about scent when we started.
I have no idea either.
Yeah.
So that was like almost the last thing we learned how to do before we opened. Like we literally were learning how to like what our candle was going to be like 2 days before we opened.
Well,
And
I
I'm
mean,
like,
over 100 different types of scents, right?
yeah.
So what is, how do you guide someone through that process? I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I know I mentioned some things in the beginning, but does tobacco and mint go together? I mean, that could be a horrendous combination,
Yeah.
or magnolia
And funerals. No, but so there's like kind of a couple rules of thumb. One is if you stay in the same genre, you're probably safe.
Okay.
So if you're in tobacco, throw some bourbon, some masculine things at it, you're really not going to mess it up. But when we open, I mean, you get to experiment too. Like there's some combinations you would have never thought of. As far as figuring it out, the process starts with you, smell scents, circle what you like, come to our bar, and then we help you navigate it. So you do the hard part of taking over 100 scents and usually narrowing it down to 15, 10, and then we take that 10, 15 and work with you just to narrow it down even more to 2 to 4. So, but it's a lot of give and take because what I think smells good might not be what you think smells good. So when you sit down in front of me, I have to ask you questions. You're like, what do you think? Like, what do you think? And you're like, well, I like X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, let's build on that. And then your suite may not be my suite. So I got to figure out your definitions to certain scents. And then once you figure that all out, then you create a scent. So
do people know what they like? I mean, that's the thing that, this is probably a terrible analogy, but going to a restaurant and it drives me crazy when I'm with someone, it's like, and they ask the waiter, like, hey, what's your favorite?
What's your
I'm like,
favorite?
well,
Yeah.
they don't know it. It could be completely different. I mean,
Right.
same kind of thing. It's, how do you know? I mean, are they able to describe normally? Or do you really have to pull it out?
Yeah, kind of both. I mean, they start and they're sampling. So, like, once we get that list, there's usually 10 to 15. And then we ask, like, all right, was there one that you're like, let's go with this or a combination? And then we just test and build around. But they're not just like blindly pouring. So they can smell them together. They have the bottles. They're going to waft the oils together to make sure, like, oh, I like these individual, but not together. Or vice versa. We have some that are like, I don't really like sandalwood at all, but we'll recommend it. And they're like, oh, wow, it really like completes what I'm going for. So it is neat to see people like go out of their shell a little bit. And then once they commit, they then pour. So then they're kind of like, that's what they get. But they also
You have to
control.
like it.
So the whole time you're kind of checking in to see like, is the scent working? If it's not, we work with people to figure it out. Like I'm not a fruity person, like you said, but like there's people that I know that's what they're going after. So it's important for us to like go outside of our comfort zone to find theirs.
But as you're working, if we're doing a good job asking questions and learning about you, 2 things can happen. Number 1, you can get an idea of scent. Number 2, if you ask enough questions, people stop worrying about scent. So if you know they're in a realm where they're liking it and you want to give them confidence, you give them confidence. But you also, if you talk about their history, where they're from, how they heard about us, it takes a little bit of the mind off of like, is this going to be a bad candle? And obviously we're helping them, so we're making sure it's not. Because the last thing we want to do is put our label on something and they light it in their house and like all their friends come over like, ugh, where'd you get this gross candle?
That's the
Right.
number one question.
Have you ever
we get.
pulled it like, you can't leave with that? I'm sorry.
I've had ones where I said, where's this going to go? And the guy was like, it's going to Ireland. I'm like, okay, you can do cannabis. You can do all those. That's fine as long as it's leaving the country. But if you're happy with it, it's not my right to tell you what to do, but I will help you, or we, I should say, not I, but we, the team, will help you.
You all very intentionally chose an experiential model. And it seems like with everything going online that there's an opportunity for a lot of other businesses to kind of copy that model. I mean, is that the future of retail, do you think?
I mean, to me, all retail should be experiential, whether you're walking in a shop, if it's, a clothing shop. What I find is that I think the mentality has been lost. So like I'll walk into a shop to try to buy, an outfit for an occasion. And I walk in and there's someone behind their desk, they're on their phones, they're not paying attention. And that's like something that you really have to capture, especially now. Like you can buy it online. So if you walk in, and I just did it the other day, I walked in, no one helped me. I looked at the size, I looked at what I like, I went home and bought it online. So I do think that there's so much opportunity in retail still because people do want to get out. They want, especially a lot of people working from home, like, they want out of their house, but they also, it's so important on how they're treated. And, that's where our staff does not have their phones at any point. They stay in the back and they have to be present. And it's not like, well, we're paying you. It has nothing to do with that. It's like, give them the respect. They're here. They're here because of a reason. They walk through the store, and it should be an experience.
Yes,
regardless.
I love that.
Yeah, and then that's a double-edged sword. So retail, if people are going to start getting more on the experiential side of things, two things are going to happen. Number one, you got to hire differently. So you used to be able to hire people who can be on their phone or whatever and just kind of fog a mirror. Mm-hmm. So now you got to change that. So if there's a competitive advantage we would have against that is we take time in our hiring, we take pride in our hiring. So sometimes these bigger companies would probably struggle with that. Okay. And as far as like,
yeah, just say it.
It's just a double-edged sword. It's just a double-edged sword. So a potential hindrance for us would be the more people trying to do experiential businesses is our competitor. It's not candle companies. It's the more distractions, the more you can do this on the weekend or this for your birthday. That is always going to be something that's going to affect us. Mm-hmm. It could be a movie theater does a really good job. It could be anything. So we have to do our best to treat people right when they come in, make it a memorable experience, and want them to come back. So big box stores, like I've seen them, like Dick's Sporting Good. You walk into a Dick's Sporting Good, now there's like rock walls and football fields and like there's all kinds of stuff because it changes the experience of their stores, which I think is great.
Yeah, I just want to go hang out there all day.
Right. I mean, you go there like, let's hit the golf simulator. But yeah, so that's going to be pulling from what we do. But again, if these large companies want to get into it, the first thing they need to think is think small and think about every employee they bring in, because it takes one employee to do something that makes someone mad and the 1-star review. It's just this whole thing. Mm-hmm. So we do have an advantage there where we really take pride and take time with our employees, and we just hire the best, and we don't hire out of necessity. If we can't find someone, I'm back there. She's back working every single day in a shop until we find that person.
So that's great. Mm-hmm. So how have you managed? 6 months with a baby, and now a couple kids. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how have you managed to scale the business and still keep, I actually just had a conversation about balance. I mean, to me, balance doesn't exist. It's about prioritizing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
How did you manage to grow this business to where it is today and raising a family?
That was probably the hardest part, especially like being new parents. And, Sonny, our son, was only 2.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 2.5 and Amelia was 6 months. So you just feel guilty, but then what you're doing is for them essentially and providing, we believed in the business. We believed in what we were doing. But I really just think like over time, our team has allowed us to step back and, it's trusting them that like they know what the core value of our company is and they carry that out every day. But it's hard. I mean, there was definitely tears. And when I was still pumping in the back and we had like a closet and I would have to go back there and like, it's just a lot, especially I think as a mom, it's a little more difficult with some of the responsibilities you just have. But, we made it through. And I think there's a lot of appreciation. Like he was my biggest fan of like telling me how great I was doing. I saw a side of him that I never got to see as far as business because now we're working together. And that was kind of neat too, just to see like you were really, really good at what you do, with the people and helping the team like grow and the sales side and, just the whole experience side. So it's neat.
Sure. No, that's great.
I left that part out about when we first started, she was pulling all the strings. She was also pumping in the background. Yeah. The staff like, where is she? I'm like, guys, you know where she is. It's
I'm like in college and I'm like, I know this is probably gross.
And they're like, what? What do you?
Just give me 30 minutes.
It's on my break. I'm on my break. Just give me some time.
So
when the kids are old enough now, I mean, I think we got rid of like child labor laws. So like, man, put them to work.
That's Sonny. That's what he says he wants to do is
amazing.
run the candle pour.
But yeah, part of that too, though, just real quick, and it's kind of semi-sad, but I remember, so when Sonny, when we first opened, he was young enough to where he didn't really realize what was going. I'd leave, I'd come home, and if I didn't see him a day, like he was just like a little kid. He's 2.5. He got, I think it was the first year. It was like the first Christmas we were going through. And like there'd be times where I wouldn't see him all week because I would leave before he woke up, and I'd get home when he was already in bed. And the joke was I'd always stick my hand like under his nose because it was covered in all these oils, whatever. And he would like kind of shimmer a little bit. I'm like, hey, buddy, But I picked him up from school because I always wanted to pick him up. And I was getting him out of the car. He's like, hey, Dad, you staying here? And I'm like, no, buddy, I got to go back to work. And his eyes welled up. And it wasn't like a annoying, sometimes kids are whining,
No, she has perfect tears that just.
I was like, oh no. And like it started like just one fat tear, one just ginormous tear comes down. And I bring him inside and I drove to work and I cried the entire way back.
Oh, I bet.
And I was just like, oh, and then that hurt. But that was also like she said, he's like, you know what you got to do, but like you're also a human being, But again, we've grown the team, and each year it's getting better and a little bit less labor for us as far as like having to be there 24/7. We're still thinking about it. We're still responding to text messages. We're still showing up if someone can't show up, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But that was a hard one. That was probably the hardest for me.
Yeah, the first 2 years was like shifts. Like we were the opener. We were, on the floor. And so then our work that we had to do had to happen at night. Mm-hmm. So like even once we get home, 9, 10 o'clock at night, then we start the emails that we haven't responded to all day because we've been busy. So, or
the video that takes till 3 o'clock in the morning to do that no one watches. That's great.
It's out there. So in terms of just like, job duty, you talked about, you do a lot of video work. You're out there telling dad jokes. You're sending emails at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, so what is, do you do more of the like logistics, the ordering, the supply chain? I mean, how is that divided between the two of you?
Yeah, I would say I do the majority of like what you would admin. So, accounting, admin, payroll, things like that. But we have in the last couple of years, like we have some employees that are now strictly admin. So they're helping out with those things and taking that off my plate. Even just things that you don't learn about until you're in a business and you get a letter like, hey, you have a sales tax that you need to pay. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't realize they weren't just taking it out. So then you go back and you're like, okay, this is something now that I have to do every month. But anyway.
You do commercial real estate, right? You've been, So the other thing we didn't realize was Cam.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the first time she was paying rent, she's like, what is this? And it was like more than our rent. We're like, oh no. You want to talk about Cam? Because to people who don't know, you can probably explain it better than me.
I mean, common area maintenance. So depending how, like a lot of for people that don't know, I mean, a lot of leases are triple net. So they include, real estate access, your common area charges, real estate charges, real estate taxes. But yeah, things that aren't, it's for your pro rata share of the entire building.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just something that we weren't really like privy to until I was never part of that process before.
What about like logistical challenges that like one thing that stands out, you're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to be an issue.
I mean, not, we're obviously past the pandemic and that, but like the supply chain for, our majority of our product is oil. I mean, that's what we do. And our biggest vendor, which we had about 85% of our oils coming from that vendor, basically just stopped. And so, we were just like, oh no, so we ended up pivoting, and that's why we started manufacturing on our own so we can control everything. But that was like a hard lesson, but we made it through. We were lucky that we were, I would say, a little overstocked, and we were good about not just like needing what we need each week. We would do like 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So we were able to get through, but that was definitely a challenge, that caused us to like wake up and control it on our own.
Sure.
So yeah.
So you manufacture locally then?
Not local. We have a couple of manufacturers that are New York and like Ohio area.
Okay. So domestic. So you're not worried about tariffs or anything international?
No. Everything we order is domestic.
Okay. So how did you get to the point to where, or I guess maybe better question is, at what point did you say like, okay, this is a well-oiled machine, we're going to St. Pete?
It was a well-oiled machine. We were rocking and rolling, getting through our first Christmas. Remember, we started 2019. Get through our first Christmas, get into January, and then the world shut down about, 3 months later.
We were doing a lot of online, and the community supported us. Like
Amazing.
Both of us are, you would say, local, and we did a lot of online sales. So we went from doing only like a handful to about 600 in a couple months, which was huge, so that kept us busy. We would send like an employee to the shop, and, at the time they were still saying not to have people together. So we would it would be one of us or two of us there. And just, it was nice to have the community support. And we also had, a couple of, from the Glazier family and, the Bucks, the Lightning, they all came together and did, I can't remember, a grant. So we got like a few things like that really just allowed us to pay our team. That was our biggest worry, is like, we've worked hard to build a business. I don't want to start over with a brand new staff because they all have to go elsewhere. So that was really hard. But
I can imagine. So the online sales, I imagine now they're a lot less, but is that still a pretty significant portion of your business, or is it still mostly the immersive in-store experience?
Yeah, it is. Now every person that comes in, we let them know, like, hey, if you like your scent, we document
You can order it in.
Yeah, so we keep track of everything that people make. So if they call and they're like, do you remember what we had? Yep, we look it up, and then they can just order it online, unless they decide that they want to come back. But that is the benefit of like them liking the product and not having to come in to spend an hour to get it.
Yeah.
So if you love a candle, you want a candle, they don't necessarily have to come back in to do it. We can do it for them.
Right.
So
The world is changing. Before, there's this idea of an online experience in my head that AI is slowly going to be able to maybe pull out. So when you come into our shop, we welcome you. We help you get going right away. It's not a lot of thinking. When you go on a website, it's static.
Yeah.
I like to say, I want something dynamic as opposed to static. So as this all progresses, it'd be nice to have things that can fish all of our data, pull people's scents, create profiles. That way it's all organic and not just call the shop, that kind of stuff. So we're really close to be able to change that. But I would say a majority of what we do is in shop, and then people getting excited about it, then going online and ordering it. But very soon we'll be able to market it almost like its own entity, like its own business, where it could be nationwide. You can go online. It can help facilitate your ability to go through 100 different scents and narrow it down, almost like you did with the scent specialist. Not as good, but it'll be a way to kind of pivot the business online as well.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's always been like a dream, but then slowly you start seeing AI going crazy. So before it kills us all, before it gets too crazy, I just think there's going to be some cool benefits if we can stay on the cutting edge of it to do something really unique online as well.
All right. Exciting. I look forward to seeing that progress. And so St. Pete?
Mm-hmm. That was always a dream. We always wanted to cross the bridge. People just don't cross the bridge.
They don't.
Yeah, we had actually signed the lease in the fall, and the landlord was, because I was like, oh, this virus is coming, like what? And he goes, I want you just to focus on your business. They were very, very generous to give us
Amazing.
the time and just say, let's put a halt on it. I don't want you to get in over your head. Focus on your business in Tampa, and then we'll, revisit, which we did. And, it's been awesome. And then the Oxford Exchange came just kind of like at the same time as we were getting ready to open the St. Pete location, and we're in the build out, and we were like, oh, wow. We love their brand. We love everything, just everything they do.
It seems to be consistent with what you all do. So yeah.
Very, very. So we were just I was like, oh, we got to make it happen. And we're both stressed because of, just everything we had going on. And I was like, we're going to do it.
Yeah. I think you all fit in great there. Do you approach any of the different locations differently, or is it, yeah?
Yeah. Oxford's a little different because it doesn't have a scent wall. So we like to say it is a boutique experience, but in actuality, it's our COVID experience. So during COVID, we omitted our scent wall, which if you don't know what the scent wall is, we have over 100 different individual scents in candle form. And that's how you know what you like to smell. Then you come to the scent or the bar. During COVID, we stopped using that because we kept cleaning the candles. It was ruining them all. So when you came to sit down, you say, just put a couple marks of what you think you like, you like, or you're just curious about. And then we started pulling up the oil bottles right away. And we did that for 10 months almost. Mm-hmm. So when Oxford approached us and we didn't have enough room for a scent wall, we're like, well, just do that experience. Because a lot of people liked it.
Great adaption. Yeah.
It's less overwhelming, they kept saying. it's just easier. It's more of a consultative experience. So when they came, like, well, we'll just try it there. And I honestly, if you haven't been to one of the other locations and you just go there, it's fine.
All right. So now you're looking Sarasota. Fourth
Sarasota
location.
in August.
Okay. I mean,
So
let's
number
talk about that.
Let's talk about it. No, we're ready. I think it was neat to do the other two. We
have the space locked down already.
we've
Can we
got,
talk
like, a
about that?
great build-out team. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I'll tell you the address. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I remember because it's 1443 Main Street in downtown Sarasota. It's awesome. Yeah.
Located downtown.
And on Main Street, which I'm not going to sing it, but, down on Main Street. She's like, I wish we didn't get that address. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good location. Sarasota is starting to boom, and it's walkable. When you make something, you have to do something after. So it's around restaurants and shops. You have to kill 2 hours. Yes. So I think it's a good location.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you had some background in franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on expanding in that direction?
Yes. So we are in the process, and we're working on the FDD now to try, hopefully by the end of summer, to be able to be licensed. It's
Excellent.
A franchise. Yeah.
Okay.
We've just had so many, such a great response and people that want to be a part of what we're doing, which is so flattering. And what I learned in my previous role was that if you just sell to collect money, you're going to have a really, really hard time with, but so being as picky as we would be if we were hiring a manager or someone, going through a vetting process to make sure that they're going to take your business and
it's your brand and do the brand justice.
The brand, yes. And that's what they want. They're not just looking at they're really busy and I have extra money. I want to invest in something like that. I want it to be something that's in their heart to do and succeed at. So we'll go slow. I always that was, when I talked to them about it, that was my concern. And they were like, you don't have to sell. You don't have to sell amount. You just sell when you want. And, so I think we'll do maybe a couple a year just to make sure that we're supporting them and then, see how it goes. But
so, Misty, you've talked about wanting to leave a legacy through employee development and talked about how hard it's been to cultivate that talent, but you have a great staff. Talk about your process in doing that. They're
incredible. That is the most important part of our business. I still meet every single candidate. There hasn't been one hire that I won't meet and have an extensive, after they've met 2 or 3 of our employees prior to. It's just so important. And it's almost like if you have a sports team or any type of team, you can have a great person, a player, someone that's done candles for 20 years, but you have to think about who you already have and how do they fit in? Are they going to be, a great cheerleader, a leader? Are they going to come in and cause problems? And we've had that happen. And it really, you can go from having such an amazing, incredible organization and it happens so fast. And a lot of times, some people aren't comfortable saying this manager is really somebody I don't want to work with, or I show up and I'm not happy to be here, or they gave me anxiety. So they end up leaving and you're losing those good employees because of, a leader that might not be the right leader. So that is the most important part of our business at this point is hiring.
It's the best part and the worst part, right?
Yeah. It's the hardest part. We have a little saying that hire slow, fire fast. Yep. And as soon as you know that someone's not the right fit, it's best for you and it's best for them to just move on instead of trying. I've done that in my career of you spent all this money in training or you did this and you really want them to work out or no one else is available Sundays and they are, but it's not worth it. It's better just to have an empty seat than the wrong person, in a seat.
And Dennis, you've said before, you want to be the best part of someone's day.
Yeah.
So how do you instill that in the culture and in your leadership style?
When we first start, it's more just by example, just, holding the door for someone, helping someone with their bag, walking someone to the car if it's raining with an umbrella. Little things like that can add up. But yeah, just being the best part of their day. I also like to say if they're having a really bad day, because sometimes you have someone that they're just a little tough. Mm-hmm. I try my hardest just to be the best part of their bad day because they're going to go eat after and probably be nasty to a server, and that server's going to snap at them, and it's going to be a 1-star or whatever. So how can I navigate this person? Because they're going to take that attitude where they're going next, and it just may be who they are, or maybe something really bad happened to them. And And if we don't respond to that and we try to be positive about it, they'll remember that. They'll oddly remember it. And so be the best part of their day. That could be as simple as just saying, how are you doing? Where are you from? Tell me about yourself. Sometimes people just want to talk. When we first hired, we hired like candle-ish. Like, oh, they like candles, they like scent. Pandemic had a couple silver linings. One, we unfortunately, when we got through that pandemic and 5 months later when we start reopening, we kind of had a little bit of a turnover. Some people didn't want to do it anymore, things like that. When we started hiring again, we hired what we have now, which is we just want good people. If you're organized, that's great. But if you're just a good person, you're positive, the rest will come. And that's kind of how we've done it since then. And honestly, it's been awesome since then. Like, it's been really cool to watch people develop, whether it be in the scent side of it or, helping us on the business side of it. Because some people do want to keep evolving and take on more. And that's really cool. I just, it's just, again, I think the word I keep using is it's humbling. It's humbling that someone wants to do something that was in your brain and you helped build and it's like your baby and then they want to be part of it. That's a cool thing. Not everyone has that opportunity. So I hope employees out there, if you're watching this, there's room. We're growing. We're trying really hard. Yeah. So
I always say my dream is to have an employee that opens their own franchise. No, and that would be like because I was given such great opportunities of growth in my previous business, and I was so grateful for it. And like every time they would give me more. And, I ended up moving from Las Vegas to Tampa to take on like a corporate role. And it was just like the two founders I was really close with. And I'm like, my dream is to be able to do what you all did for me in my career. And that's ultimately, and we're starting to like feel it because I know their story. And I know, they had somebody that was like their front desk person that ended up like running, the customer service and little stories like that. Somebody that was doing real estate, but she just was also like front desk. So that type of stuff is really, really cool. And that's like what motivates me.
Well, it sounds like you're close to making that happen. It is
We're close.
Success story. If people want a job, if they want a franchise, how would you direct people? Want to know more about the company? Where would you direct them to?
thecandlepore.com.
All right.
All of our handles at thecandlepore.com for social media. But yeah, just reaching out. And I mean, honestly, like our information's out there. So I love like people will come in and send me an email. Like, I had a great experience. Are you planning to franchise? Keep me in mind. So that's nice too.
Well, I love what you two are doing. It's a great success story.
Thank you.
The two of you are an amazing partnership. So
thank you.
Y'all put on a good show. You guys can't see all this, but this is wonderful in here. This is amazing. This is one of the most official podcasts we've ever been on. So thank you so much.
Well, good. And we have our outro, which is you can find the Money Market Podcast and the Bank of Tampa online, as well as on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and Instagram. And before you leave, make sure you hit like, follow, or subscribe, and we'll be sure to see you around in the Money Market.